Fears of a dodgy cover-up are exploding in Westminster after a bombshell report has claimed that Labour has negotiated a secret 700-page treaty over Gibraltar without fully disclosing it to Parliament. The allegations centre on a draft UK-EU-Spain agreement that critics say has been seen by officials in Brussels and Madrid, but not properly scrutinised by MPs here in Britain. So what's going on, and why are opposition figures accusing the government of keeping this country in the dark? At the heart of the row is Gibraltar's post-Brexit future. Since the UK left the European Union, Gibraltar has required its own separate agreements. Talks between the UK, Spain and the EU have been going on for years. Now, according to the report, a draft treaty running more than 700 pages has been drawn up. But the controversy isn't just about the length of the document, it's about who's seen it and who hasn't. Opposition figures say that Spanish and EU officials have had access to the draft text. Meanwhile, MPs in Westminster are still waiting to examine the full details. Shadow Foreign Secretary Priti Patel has raised concerns that earlier promises over sovereignty may have fallen apart. She also described the situation as a potential dodgy cover-up, questioning why a significant treaty has not been fully laid before Parliament. The Shadow Foreign Secretary told GB News, Labour has serious questions to answer about the treaty they've negotiated with the EU over Gibraltar. For months, we've heard nothing from them, while the Spanish and the EU have been meticulously briefed. A treaty draft has been agreed, but Labour ministers are not bringing it to Parliament yet. This is causing uncertainty that must be addressed by Labour publishing the treaty so we can review and scrutinise it. With Labour seeking to reverse Brexit with their so-called EU reset until they come clean with the treaty, it will seem likely that they are involved in a dodgy cover-up and have something to hide. Her suggestion here is serious, that a deal affecting British sovereignty has been negotiated largely out of public view. Labour ministers are strongly rejecting that characterisation. Europe Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds has said that the treaty will be published shortly and confirmed that an agreement has been reached. A Foreign Office spokesperson has also stated that the government will lay the treaty before Parliament once it is finalised, insisting that ministers continue to work closely with Gibraltar's government. But critics say that's not enough. They argue that if foreign officials have already reviewed the text, Parliament should not be the last to see it. Former Conservative MP Sir John Redwood branded the fact that ministers are being kept in the dark as a disgrace.
What Starmer's got to do is basically do a U-turn on practically everything he and his government has done up to this point, because everything is anti-growth, anti-business, higher tax, getting in people's way, annoying all the groups who, in some cases, were tempted to vote for them or didn't vote against them in 24. So, I mean, he's got to dump the Chagos deal. He's also got to go in for transparency. He promised us a more transparent and open government. It's been far, far worse. Why can't we see the Gibraltar deal as a massive, great treaty, and we're not allowed to see the language, whereas it's being shared with Spaniards and with Gibraltarians and the rest of it? Absolute disgrace. Why is he still pressing on with the Chagos deal? It is outrageous, giving all that money to Mauritius, a friend of China, and now saying to British people who are Chagosians who want to go back there, we're going to pick on you. You're the problem. No, Starmer, you are the problem.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
On February the 10th, the government of Gibraltar held a meeting with the opposition party in Gibraltar to brief them in complete confidence on the deal that has been inked. GB News has since learned from Brexit Facts for EU that the EU Commission will release the text of the entire UK-EU-Gibraltar Treaty to the EU public this week. This courtesy, however, has not been extended to His Majesty's official opposition in the UK, nor to any other British parliamentarian for review or scrutiny. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has since assured that Parliament will be able to fully scrutinise the treaty and to debate the terms of the treaty if it wishes. Whilst the full legal text is yet to be published, previous negotiations give an indication of the likely areas covered. These include border arrangements between Gibraltar and Spain, customs and goods checks, regulatory alignment in certain sectors, and possible roles for Spanish officials at Gibraltar's airport and port as part of a wider EU framework. That final point has caused alarm in some quarters. Any suggestion of Spanish involvement in border control is politically explosive, given Gibraltar's long-standing insistence on remaining under British sovereignty. Gibraltar voted overwhelmingly to remain in the EU in 2016, but when the UK left, it left too. Its economy depends heavily on fluid border crossings. Thousands of workers move between Spain and Gibraltar every day. Supporters of the deal argue that practical cooperation is essential to avoid disruption. They say stability and certainty are the priority. Opponents, however, are saying that sovereignty must come first, and that transparency is a non-negotiable. The political tension boils down to 3 key questions. Why has the draft treaty reportedly been circulated abroad before being scrutinised in Westminster? Does the agreement require Gibraltar to align with EU rules in ways that could limit future independence? And why hasn't the full text been published yet? The government is insisting that there is no secrecy, only process. Under parliamentary rules, treaties must be formally laid before ratification. Ministers say that will happen. But in the meantime, language such as secret and cover-up reflects just how politically sensitive this issue has become. If and when the treaty is formally published, MPs will have the opportunity to examine it in full detail. That's when the claims and counterclaims can be tested against the actual legal text. Until then, suspicion is filling the vacuum. And for Gibraltar, this isn't just abstract politics. It's about borders, jobs, trade, and identity. The deal, which remains shrouded in secrecy, is set to be signed in just 6 weeks by the EU Council, and it will also require a vote in the EU Parliament. But the political argument around it can be summed up far more simply. Is this careful diplomacy, or is it something that the government didn't want fully scrutinised? To find out more about this story, head to gbnews.com.
Become a friend of GB News for free, a brand new way to be part of our community.
As a friend of GB News, you'll access in-depth opinion, analysis, documentaries, and behind-the-scenes videos.
Have your voice heard on your say. Take part in You Decide polls. Watch GB News anywhere, anytime, live or on catch-up. Become a friend of GB News today for free.
And be part of Britain's most passionate community.
Go to gbnews.com/friend today.